Hi guys, so I've noticed a trend lately comparing current events to prophecy. There's been lots of comments claiming that Orwell predicted this and that we're living in end times. And look, I get it. Things are chaotic. And during times like these, it's easy to experience cognitive overload. The world feels loud, unstable, and it's hard to make sense of anything. So we look for quick and easy answers to explain it all. But there are no easy answers. And this knee-jerk reaction blinds us to what's actually going on. Worse, it makes us susceptible to manipulation because what's happening isn't prophecy, it's psychology. Think about it. If I can convince you that what I'm doing is fulfilling some type of prophecy, then I can activate your limbic system, the ancient part of your brain that warns you that you're in danger. And if I can do that, then I don't have to worry about you figuring things out. Because when the limbic system is activated, your prefrontal lobes, the part of your brain responsible for logic and problem solving, shuts down. So I'm going to show you how the psychology behind the narrative works, how your brain reacts to fear, what archetypes and tropes are, and how those tools are used to shape narratives. Then I'll show you how you can protect yourself from it, so you're not living on survival mode, but have the clarity to see through the BS and regain control over your own mind. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the foundation. Your brain has two basic operating systems. System one we'll call the thinking brain. This is where logic lives. Reason, questions, analysis, and calm decision-making are all formed here in your frontal lobes. System two is the survival brain, called the limbic system. And its job is simple, to keep you alive. So when it senses danger, real or imagined, it flips a switch. And your body reacts with a rise in stress hormones and increased heart rate. Your breathing gets faster, and your logical thinking gets weaker. This fight or flight mode is an automatic response system that helps us survive a dangerous situation and get us out of a tight spot. But we're not built to live under this type of pressure indefinitely. It's meant to be an emergency response, not a lifestyle. When it goes on for too long, you lose the ability to think clearly. You're constantly stressed and can't make clear decisions. Everything feels like it's out of control and falling apart, so you seek relief, a quick answer. And this makes you open to all sorts of manipulation. This doesn't mean you're weak or stupid. It's just the way our brains are built. Now let's connect the psychology to the narratives. Humans don't just respond to facts. We respond to stories. And the most powerful stories are built on two things: archetypes and tropes. Archetypes are characters, emotional templates that your brain recognizes instantly. Characters like the hero, the villain, the traitor, the evil empire, and of course, the final battle. The thing about archetypes is that you don't have to analyze them. You can feel them. That's why they're used in film, religion, and of course, politics. When the narrative is framed with archetypes, it activates the most primal part of your brain and elicits an emotional response. So you're less likely to question whether any of it is even true. When archetypes are paired with tropes, it's even easier for you to get swept up and believe whatever it is that you're told. Tropes are familiar story patterns like good versus evil, the chosen people, the end of the world, the ultimate enemy, and the last hope for humanity. I mean, we've all heard these. These storylines play on the human race's greatest fear, extinction. They go straight to your nervous system and bypass all logical thinking. Religious stories are packed with these. Light versus darkness, the apocalypse, prophecy, and final judgment. So when modern events are described using the same language, of course it feels biblical. Not because it is, but because it's being framed that way. Keep in mind that people in power understand this psychology very well. They have the top experts to help them shape the narrative. They have to. Because if you want to shape the opinions of large groups of people, then you have two choices. Option A, explain complicated realities with nuance and patience and hope and pray that people will understand and agree. Or option B, turn reality into a simple emotional story with heroes and villains. Option B always wins because fear spreads faster than logic. And also because a simplified fairy tale hides a multitude of crimes. Few people have the time to research what's true. A cut and dry narrative gives you a quick fix in the simple answers your brain is hungry for. So you stop asking questions. And that's the point. That's why political media sounds less like information and a lot more like a movie trailer. Lots of talking points and claims, but zero facts to back anything up. They know you're confused, stressed, and anxious, and that it makes you open to whatever narrative they want to spin. Today, we see this in Trump's claims that if we don't take Greenland, Russia and China will. That isn't neutral language. It's archetypical language that activates your limbic system. But notice that Trump doesn't bother to give you any proof that either Russia or China are making moves toward Greenland. That's because there isn't any. And frankly, he knows that most people don't want or need it anyway. Think of 9/11. We were terrified, so no one questioned when the news media said that they had found the passports and the IDs of all of the bombers. How is that even possible in all that rubble? Or think of 2020. We were all so scared about a virus that nobody stopped to question all of those weird videos that people claimed were coming out of China. China, a country that has complete control over its social media and all information that goes in or out of the country. There's no way those videos were real. But again, we were scared. Fear is a very powerful drug. When we see things play out in real life that we first heard of in a book or in a movie, it's very easy for our brains to accept it as the truth, the inevitable truth. This is why it's so easy to think that Orwell predicted everything that we're seeing play out today. But Orwell didn't predict the future. He understood patterns. He understood that fear controls behavior, that language shapes perception, that power creates enemies, and that emotional people accept simple lies. Those aren't prophecies. They're recurring human habits. And because most Americans are familiar with Orwell's work, the tropes within it can be reverse engineered and used to trigger fear and a feeling of inevitability. Orwell wrote about a future in which everyone is watched and censored by Big Brother. So where do you think the powers that be got that idea from? See, 1984 isn't prophecy. It's a playbook. I want to share a personal story with you so that you know where I'm coming from. When I was in the military, I went through some really intense training, not just physically, but psychologically. And I learned two important lessons that shaped my worldview. Lesson number 1, awareness alone can't overcome biology. I knew I was being psychologically manipulated. I knew rationally that the yelling, the time pressure, the screaming, the chaos, and the high-risk exercises were all designed to stress me out on purpose. But here's the thing. Knowing it didn't stop any of it from working. There were parts of my brain that were being triggered to react, and they did, no matter how aware I was. Lesson number 2, choosing logic is always an option. And that's what I was really being trained to do. It wasn't impossible to override my limbic system. It just took repetition. By constantly exposing me to chaos, I was being trained to succeed and complete the mission even when I was scared, to stay calm and think clearly, even when my body was reacting. In other words, I learned how to actively choose logic in spite of my brain's need to default to reaction mode. As an analyst, that skill was essential. And it's the same skill I want to help you achieve because we need it now more than ever. So how can you recognize when your limbic system is being attacked? And what can you do about it? The physical signs are easy to identify. Racing heart, tight chest, shallow breathing, dry mouth, a feeling of sudden anger or fear, or feeling overwhelmed. These are limbic system signals, not signs that you're actually in danger. The mental signs are a lot harder to identify because a lot of them are ingrained in your neurology and they work on the subconscious level. These include the belief that things are black and white, they're dire, and that you have to pick a side right now. These are emotional reactions pretending to be thoughts and a sure sign that you're being manipulated. But there are 3 practical steps that you can take to get out of fight or flight mode. Number 1, calm your body. You can't think logically until your nervous system calms down. So take slow, deep breaths, turn off your TV or close the app, stand up, stretch, and drink some water. In other words, interrupt your thought patterns with physical action. This snaps you back to the present moment and tells your brain, I am safe. Number 2, ask grounding questions. Once you're calm, ask yourself, who benefits if I'm scared right now? What am I being pushed to believe? Am I being presented with facts, or is it just rhetoric? Is this information or emotional storytelling? These questions will wake your thinking brain back up. Number 3, separate the facts from the narrative. Every message has 2 elements, the event and the story about the event. Your job is to strip away dramatic adjectives, doom language, and the archetypical framing. This will help you connect the dots and see what's really going on. Let's test it. Version A of a headline reads, 2 countries have a policy disagreement. Okay. While version B states, an evil regime threatens the free world in a final battle for humanity. It's the same event, different framing. But notice which one made your body react. Look, here's the bottom line. Scared people don't ask smart questions. Calm people do. Panicked people beg for authority, but calm people think for themselves. And right now, there are many different actors who really need us to stay frightened, divided, and reactive, because emotional people are a lot easier to steer. So the next time something feels biblical, apocalyptic, or prophetic, take a beat, breathe, and remember, feeling something strongly doesn't make it true. It just means that your limbic system is being triggered. Your greatest power in a chaotic world isn't panic. It's calm, clear thinking. See you on the next vid.